Dude, we're shooting the podcast. You gotta wear something nicer.
Sorry, man. I've been out cutting firewood all afternoon.
Well, I gotcha.
Come on, seriously? Hey everybody, you are kicking it with the Homeboys. We thank you for joining us today. My name is Clint Wetherill. I'm here with my homeboy, Scott Adams. What's up?
Living the dream. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I've had a lot going on here lately.
Yeah,
Trying to get a car.
Oh, gosh.
It's not going very well. We were just talking about that before we started filming. I'm still a little worked up.
Yeah, we just got off a phone call where they told us, yeah, you can buy the car, but you have to also pay us in addition to paying full price for the car.
Correct. It's like extortion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we compared it to what we do. So we've been very blessed with a lot of demand for our properties for over 10 years of these turnkey single-family residential properties we sell. And it would be like us, because we have a waiting list, it would be like us saying, yeah, you can pay full price, but you also have to give us another 10 grand because there's that much demand. It's a weird thing to me.
Well, I'm in a pickle because we need a car.
Right.
Like our car keeps breaking down. We were at the Opryland Hotel this past weekend. Lovely getaway. Little plug for, the Gaylord Opryland Hotel down there. But two different occasions, we had the valet bring our car around, and by the time we got to the car, 5 minutes after being brought around, it wouldn't start. Battery was okay. But anyhow, this is the 10th time in a couple of months. We've talked about it. I'm pissed about it. I'm tired of, I'm worried about my wife getting stranded with our two young daughters. But I don't know what the heck to do for getting a vehicle. Like, I don't like getting pushed around by these car dealers saying, okay, well, you have to pay a dealer premium that's $5,000 to $10,000 over the sticker price, or you order it and you got to wait till we're on Social Security basically to get the car delivered to you. It's crazy.
It's crazy, and it's that way in real estate too. I think people are they're just going along because they have to, and I think guys like you and I really struggle with it more than most. Because
but what am I missing? These cars are $100,000, and like you can't get them. Like, who are these people that are all gobbling up? I mean, I know there's a chip shortage and all this crap, but I mean, still, like, you can't get a car. Like, and the used cars are just as much as the new.
Well, I think that is today's topic in a way because people are over leveraging to buy too much nice stuff. They're borrowing too much on cars. They're doing it for too long. They're borrowing too much on home purchases and financing too much and refinancing the cash out. They're leveraging their lives in a way that you and I think is fundamentally going to hurt them in the long run.
Okay, so we're diving in.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask about ask about how your family is and everything. Everything's good in your world, right?
I've got no complaints in life.
You got a car that runs.
My car starts. We have the same exact car. We buy two of everything. Mine has less miles than the one his wife is driving, but it's had the same starting problems too. Yeah. And these are not cheap cars. It's ridiculous, and so
it's very frustrating.
But other than that, my life is great. Yeah.
Good. Okay. I wanted to cover that before we just dove right into this, but I'll start off by saying I agree with everything that you were saying about, being over leveraged, but I want to go ahead and first throw out that we did an episode of More on Real Estate the other day, which to our listeners that don't know, that's something that we do, that we call out different skits that are online, and because there's so much bad advice out there. We're out there, calling them out. If you're going to put a bunch of bogus crap on the internet, the Homeboys are going to come tell you about it.
Right.
But anyhow, it came to leverage, and this lady had posted something, and there was music playing in the background saying, You look so dumb right now. And it's because someone was saying that they were going to get a traditional mortgage or something, on a piece of property.
Yeah.
And, she was...
They were putting a normal amount of down payment.
Down payment is what it was. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Just a normal amount.
Correct.
Just a normal.
And, you look so dumb right now. But there's like a million views and all these, hey, cool video.
Right.
And it's literally some of the dumbest real estate advice that I can possibly think of, but there's a huge camp that's on board with this.
Right.
It's like sweeping the real estate, community, that if you have, any equity, if you have any cash out of your pocket, then you're stupid.
Right.
You look so dumb right now.
Or you're holding yourself back. You could be so much further ahead. You could own so many more properties if you just leveraged them and got more and then refied and got that cash out and then use that cash to buy more and then leverage. It's incredibly popular and it's incredibly bad. But we've been on this elevator ride where houses have gone up in value for long enough now, basically since 2008, a straight line up, that people have forgotten. They've forgotten that it doesn't always go straight up. And if you're over leveraged and things don't go straight up, you're screwed.
So that's what it is, right? I mean, we've seen 12, 13, 14, year, run up where it was gradually going up and then it's shot up. That people, would you say people are getting by because of the run up, that this whole refi till you die is hidden for a while? Like it hasn't exposed the true dangers of this haven't been exposed yet because of the run up in real estate?
Of course they haven't been exposed. It works right now.
Right.
It works great. It seems like, well, yeah, of course it's smart. Look at this. I started with one house, and now I have 4, and you're saying I'm an idiot? Well, if I would have done it your way, I'd only have one house.
So it's kind of this excess, more mentality. Is that why it's so popular? I mean,
for sure.
Is it because two, guys in their mid-40s, overweight and not much to look forward to, come on here and say it's a bad idea, that it's just some people can't get on board with that?
Just change the channel.
The
sky is falling.
Little do people know that you were really popular in high school, and I was a homecoming king.
You were. We need to bring your scepter in here sometime. He has the scepter. He has the scepter at home.
I ain't getting rid of it, man. It's mine.
It's mine.
But are we just like, is that not cool? And like people don't want to hear the truth.
Yeah, nobody. I'll tell you what's never been attractive: solid financial conservative advice. Mm-hmm. It's never sold. It never does, and that's the same thing true with real estate. People are looking for the flashy, get rich now. How do you do that? That stuff sells. And the truth is, though, the people that we know that have built real estate wealth know how bad that advice is. They are long-term real estate investors looking for the building of wealth through long-term holding of appreciating assets in good areas. And that isn't what sells. What sells is, buy a rental, you can cash it out and your tenant pays off your mortgage and you can buy another one. Nobody likes to talk about, well, what happens if there's just a small pullback in the market, say 5%, a 5% pullback, which it's going to happen. 5% is nothing. Markets are cyclical. They do go up and down. And when it happens, you're going to be upside down in not just the one property. You're going to be upside down in 7 because we're reaching for the stars.
I think we're like an old married couple because I was getting ready to go to where you just went. So, we've talked, all right, we've had, let's call it 14 years. We kind of used that 2008, right. It really kind of, you could say 9 or 10 is whenever it really, but wherever, say, right. 12, 14 years, whatever it is. It has run up, so people have forgot. And I think you're right. People's, memory is very selective, very short, including mine. But I lived through the Great Recession, learned a lot, didn't get buried alive like a lot of people did. So I think it's as did you. So now we can talk about it. So let's just say that how far backward do you? Well, our real estate doesn't go backward so much, here in Indianapolis. No. But let's just say it's 5%. That's very conservative. Okay. So now you're leveraged, to the hilt. You've refied, till you die. You have a $200,000, investment, and now it's worth, $190.
Right.
Okay. So then it's worth $190. You have less buyers because it's going to happen at some point. I mean, people think that all these people are going to continue to buy this. It's not going to happen. So then you're at 190, and then you've had a life event that happens, and you got to get out,
right.
For whatever reason. Then there's 7% real estate commission, 5% real estate somewhere in there.
Inspection repairs.
Closing costs.
Closing costs.
Inspection repairs. So if you have refied till you die, and then you're upside down on this house, on a $200,000 home, you're bringing $25,000 to the closing table just to get out.
Yes, you are. And you're going to have to do that multiple times because most likely you refied in order to do this again and again and again. Traditionally that's what we see. The kind of person that refis and pulls cash out is somebody who does it over and over. Most people don't just buy one house and then do that. They create a world of a mess for themselves. And, a lot of times if you're on the edge like that and you're pulling cash out of houses in order to repeat, you're not going to have a lot of savings, or otherwise you'd be using that instead. And so if the market goes down and there's, vacancies and, things get bumpy for a little bit, you're screwed. I mean, because you're going to have to bring money to the table to close these. And if you can't cash flow those to survive through that period, you're sunk. And we have seen it. I can't explain how common it is, how many times we've seen this. I know some really, really smart real estate investors who, a lot of them taught me a lot in my early career, who did that stuff. And they're gone now. We saw one hobbling into our office not long ago to try to borrow personal money from me, who was at his peak, in the I believe he broke about $50 million of net worth, and he doesn't have two dimes to scratch together because he refied over and over and over until the pop happened. And had he not done that, he would have been fine. He would have been worth still 25 to 30 million, but he went from 50 to zero. Right. Zero. People don't understand how easy it is for things to go backwards if you are over leveraged in your real estate portfolio. They don't understand how quickly things can go south. You have to build in those cushions. Why not just pay off your real estate, in advance? So I'm not saying that every dollar that comes in on that real estate, has to go right back into that exact property. That's what we believe in. We don't believe in pulling our money out of those houses. We believe in building wealth through that. And then you can sell it. We don't take cash flow out of the properties we own. We just don't do it. We do accelerated debt pay downs on anything we own if there's debt on it. And that property, whatever income it brings in, goes back into the property, period. You don't even have to be that, conservative. You could use some of the cash flow as long as you're paying down your debt. But don't do the opposite. Don't be pulling that equity out. Leave some of it in there for the down times.
Well,
because it's a good investment.
We could easily, we're giving away some of our, market secrets here with how our company's set up. But, you and I take a modest, income that, I'm not throwing Jay-Z type parties. If we wanted to quadruple that, or 10 times that, and
easily,
we could do that. But I think it's about living within a person's means, and I just don't. I believe in financial security, but I don't believe in making it rain in a Las Vegas, nightclub and drinking a $1,000 bottle of champagne. And I think a lot of people think that's sexy. I think that's a very lonely place for people.
To be fair, though, we've both been there.
You a lot more than me. You were so immature for so long that
I didn't grow up till I was like literally. When did I meet my wife? So 30. I didn't grow up till I was in
but you had like rich friends, like
Right.
where I'm from, the rich people were the teachers, kids, it's like,
farmers. You
you
grew
know,
up with
we
a
had
lot of wealthy
farmers. We did have wealthy farmers, but those wealthy farmers, they're not out making it rain in a Las Vegas
Right.
nightclub. I can guarantee you that. They're out putting hay up.
Yeah. I experienced why that life is attractive because I was surrounded by people who did that, and lived that way. And so I would tag along. So I got to see it. It's empty, and it looks great on TV. And I understand why the Insta lifestyle is, so popular. You want to show off what you got, but, maybe it just makes us old fuddy-duddies to believe in living conservatively and well within your means. But the peace of mind that it brings, you won't believe, And you can still have that stuff.
But we're successful.
Right.
We are building. We have 500 apartments in the works. This year. Big stuff. But we live within our means. I'm glad you got it out of your system. At an early age. I've heard the stories. We could turn that into a couple episodes of the podcast.
Yeah. It's but we live smaller. We had
sell it to Scorsese and do Wolf of Wall Street too.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was that bad, but it was bad. But we had a meeting this morning with one of our banks that we're doing a development project with, and I was talking to them after the meeting. I'm not sure if you heard. We were talking about how people finance cars now for
84 months.
84 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was interesting to see the reaction because I said, I also believe that currently banks are loaning too much on what a house is worth. And people are buying more house than they should because they have to. If you're a first-time home buyer,
what are you going to do?
Right. You've got to spend in our area, $350 for a starter home. That a couple years ago was $200. And their reaction was very interesting to hear it. They didn't agree, but they're the bank.
What do you mean?
I don't know. They said, well, there's a lot of fundamental differences between 2008 and now, which is true, and that people aren't buying 10 homes like they used to. It's only one. But my argument back is okay. They're still buying more house than they should be able to qualify for. You and I talk. I bring it up all the time, but I get online sometimes, and I went to Rocket Mortgage and put in my info to see what I was approved for. And I'm not going to say the number, but just suffice to say, they had no business offering me a mortgage at this amount. I mean, it's insane just because you're approved for a certain amount doesn't mean you should leverage your personal home that high to buy it, and that's a hard thing to do. You and your wife go sit down with a mortgage broker, and they're going to say, okay, we've approved you for $700,000. You're not going to then go look at $300,000 houses.
I'd argue with the bank that was here this morning. Wonderful group of guys that were here.
It's a neat bank too.
Great conversation.
Family-owned bank.
Yeah, really cool.
$2 billion bank, I think. Pretty
think
large
right.
for one of the largest family-owned banks.
Right.
And yeah,
but I can go back to prior to the Great Recession. And so let's go prior to the Great Recession, let's say 05, 06 into 07, okay? The market wasn't just absolutely on fire in those years by any stretch. Like nobody was saying that this mortgage meltdown, these huge investment firms were going to collapse, the Madoff scandal. No one was saying that in 5, 6, 7.
no one was saying this isn't sustainable. The
Correct.
rates are going. The appreciation is
and
too
the market
much.
wasn't just bananas. We were selling homes. Mm-hmm. We were buying good values back then.
There was a few exceptions. There was California. I was buying properties in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Mm-hmm. Just a person would list their house for sale. I would buy it. Rip out the carpet and put in tile and some other little things. And by the time I put it back on the market, it had appreciated by $25,000.
Okay.
So there were small markets.
Okay.
That was a rarity.
Yep. I'm just talking.
That's today
I'm giving
anywhere.
you the Midwest example.
Right.
So I'm going pre-Great Recession. Well, go fast forward to now. 14 years or so.
Right.
everything is bananas. It is freaking crazy. You know, we said that about that house in Fishers that I went to a friendly gathering the other day, and it sold for 303. You know, back in 2005, 6, I was buying homes like that. You were buying homes like that for 70. You know, and now it's 303. Like, I mean, I could build that house brand new right now for what, 150,
Right.
160. We had a meeting on that earlier today.
Yeah, we could build that house for 175.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the amenities and
Right.
everything,
Yeah.
175. You know, sell for 303. You know, a little postage stamp lot. You know, I would argue with the bank that I'm going to compare today to the Great Recession, and there's a lot more indicators today that this market is going to crash than there were indicators in 6, 7, and 8.
Well, this pessimist isn't going to disagree with you. I'm a pessimist.
I'm asking you to tell me why I'm wrong in thinking that.
I can't help you there.
Because I mean, you know, people weren't paying $50,000 market increase premiums to get a Mercedes. You know, people weren't going $80,000 out of pocket above appraisal price to buy a house.
Right.
You know, this is Chicken Little shit, man. That's
Right.
going on. like what is going on out there? That, like, I mean, it's an indicator to me. Like I said back then, it was modest. Like,
I've noticed that you and I talk a lot about this, like at our lunches with friends, and I've noticed you and I are the only two people that get upset about this with the cars. We were talking about the cars at lunch today with
That's
three
how it
friends.
is.
That's how it is. They both said. And so I think back to this. Okay, so my grandfather, when it was time to buy a car, what he would do is he would have saved up over the 5 years prior until he could afford to go buy a car. Okay, you didn't get car loans. Wealthy people did, but a lot of people didn't get car loans. You saved up, and once you had enough money, then you would go buy the car. Okay, then financing for cars became widely available to America, and we were like, holy cow, you can buy a car and pay over 36 months? I pay you over that long of a period? Mm-hmm. And then it went to, 50, whatever, and then it went to 60. I remember when I was in high school being offered college, a 60-month car loan, and I just was shocked that they would do that. Now, so my point is, credit has become available and addictive. It allows you to live above your means. And not only does it allow you to live above your means, but everyone out there they're hypnotizing you and saying that's not living above your means. That is your means. That is how you're supposed to live. You're supposed to live with debt. Debt here. You get debt on your car. You get debt on your home. You get debt on your investments. That's your means. They're saying you live within the means of what you can afford for payments. And we fundamentally disagree with that. Fundamentally disagree with it.
Right. And
most wealthy people also disagree, but they don't talk about it. It's their secret. It's one of those secrets that, every middle America and below is addicted to cheap money from banks. And the banks love it. Wealthy people aren't borrowing from banks. They're not saying, 3%, I'll get a mortgage on my house and invest the rest in the S&P. They don't use debt in that way. So we've just become addicted to it, and it's not healthy, especially not in your investments. Do not leverage in order to invest. It doesn't make sense. There's too much risk. Things go down in value. We saw TikTok today where they said, well, if you can get a 3% mortgage and the S&P average is 8% or 10 or 11, whatever you want to call it, over which period you look at, you should just get a mortgage, refi your house, pull all the money out of your house at 3% because you can make, 10% in the S&P. Think about all of that risk. The fact that people would even think to do that. Mm-hmm. You're using your house as your piggy bank and gambling all that money on the S&P going up at the same rate.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy. It's people just need to shift their minds. Come to our side. The water is warm. You don't get to buy 10 houses your first year. I'm sorry. You don't get to have a Lamborghini that second year. But you can have wealth in a very short period. You start to build wealth up. That fifth year is where you really do start to feel it, I think, with us. By the 10th year, you won't believe what your life can be like if you go conservative and you don't over leverage.
Jedi, they're humble, and they do things slowly with no emotion.
Yeah.
Conservatively.
See that Justin Timberlake movie where I think it's called In Time? And the commodity is time, so you die when you run out of time, and so when you work, you get paid in time. And the wealthy people, they all move slow. They go have dinner, and there's some correlation to that too.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah, I've been blessed to be around some really wise.
I'm not good at them.
Wise, wealthy folks who are very humble, and so you as well. It's very interesting. I really try to learn from them, and I know you do too.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I believe in slow and steady. I think that I run a little bit hotter than some folks, but that I think that it comes down to sometimes this leverage thing and this going to the dark side. If I keep the Star Wars analogy going on, I mean it's greed. And, if you're going to be inspired by the quick buck, get greedy, just know that your time, will run out at some point. Yeah. I think that going through the Great Recession was one of the best things that could have ever happened to me. And at the time, I thought it was the worst thing. Yeah. I had a lot of stocks. My story. I've lost 65% of my investments, through that. But it's made me a conservative investor to where now my financial position is, more recession-proof, and it just offers a certain stability. Like, I'm just not in it for the quick buck. We've got to a point in our careers, and I'm very grateful for this, that we have people bringing us deals, developments, these sorts of things all the time, and everyone thinks that we should just jump in and do everything. It's, this is the greatest thing ever, and you do this. I'm like, look, man, at the end of the day, if I'm going to put X amount of risk in and I'm going to make, 0.1X on my return on investment, I'm not interested. Even if that, 0.1 is a 6-figure, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, or even a 7-figure pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Like, what's it going to do to me? Right. And I don't like having that risk. And people that are leveraged to the hilt at all times, I couldn't sleep at night. And if you are sleeping at night, I'm warning you that the sleepless nights are about to come. Right. You've got a bumpy road. When is that going to happen? You may be calling him an idiot and me an idiot for the next 5 years. I don't believe that to be the case. I think that something will come within then. But
maybe they look at it as, well, we can say that sitting from our pillars, having 20 years of experience in this and having built our portfolio. But our argument back to them is, this isn't because we have real estate. This is how we got to where we are.
Dude, I started with a 2-door Ford Escort.
That's right, you did.
I got rid of everything that I had because I was scared I was going to go bankrupt. And I was selling piss biscuits and air fresheners by day and putting painting jeans on at night and weekends to get here.
I know.
It doesn't happen overnight. But I can say that if you do it the right way and slow and steady, it took me a full year of remodeling homes before I was willing to pay for a paint crew.
Right.
And I look back on that like, how crazy, what would take me a month took them a day and a half.
Yeah, you had these habits too that were hilarious to me, because you had made it at a certain point. You and I, we were friendly competitors, say about 15 years ago. We were having lunch a lot, and you would be at Menards picking out your own stuff still. And keep in mind, he'd already had a lot of success at this point. He didn't need to be at Menards anymore picking out his own stuff. And I always found it so entertaining that you would go pick.
I'd write the SKUs for each thing, and whatever it was, if it was light bulbs, I'd put the number for the SKU, or hinges, I'd put the number.
Hilarious.
Countertop, I'd do the whole thing, and then I'd take it to the contractor sales desk. I'd have a drop of a material, and it's funny.
I'm not laughing at someone doing that. They should. That's how they should start. I'm laughing at the fact that
it took me a long time to let it go.
Yeah, that he hadn't let it go.
It took me a long time to let
it
go. But I joke about it now. I look back and like, man, I was really happy.
Yeah,
back in those days, I had a lot less stress. Maybe maybe I should, put my painting jeans back on and go to work.
Yeah, there's a lot of days where I think
Cooler, a Bush Light,
Right.
and some Zeppelin playing and paint some houses.
there's a lot of days where, when you've built a portfolio and a business like we have, you dream of the days when it was just you rocking it out and making that cash. There's a lot of responsibility to what we do. However, that's a good point, which is you can start where we did, which was with painting clothes on with one house, going to Menards, using your credit cards to buy houses, not to buy houses, but to, buy the materials so you could get the points back. I mean, you're watching every penny.
Oh, I'm getting those points like
know.
you wouldn't believe right now.
I mean, we were
man.
just, every penny mattered.
Oh, yeah.
And it can quickly get to a point of wealth and comfort, and you don't have to chase it using extreme debt. Please don't do it. We've just seen it go wrong too many times. You might get lucky and you buy at a period where it's 10-year appreciation, but eventually it's going to bite you. It just is.
Gosh, you look so dumb right now.
I know.
It's unreal.
That's so dumb, right?
I can't, that was a couple weeks ago.
She said to put down $100.
I hear this all day now.
It's still eating at you.
You look so dumb right now. And I don't know, just the look on her face, it makes my skin crawl.
Because she was calling us dumb.
Yeah, what?
Because we invest our money in real estate instead of just putting $100 down and just leveraging it all.
Right.
Just leverage it all.
Well, we don't claim to know everything. We have been doing this for a very long time. We know strategies that work. We believe in being conservative investors, and we still have a very good time as conservative investors. And it has awarded us some of the luxuries in life that we are very grateful for. But don't over leverage yourself. It is going to go bad at some point in time, and you will regret it. At that point in time, don't be saying, if I'd only listened to the Homeboys. That is our show for today. We thank you for joining us. Please follow us at the Homeboys Pod on Facebook and TikTok. Until next time, happy investing.
I think I looked at the camera. Sorry.
You're good.
That's all you got?
That's it.
I got this.
That almost went on.
You were spot on. Come on, seriously?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean...
Seriously? Come on, seriously?